everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my February end of the month wrap up to share with you. As always, I will have my mid-month wrap up linked in the cards and the description box below, so you can go check out all the books that I read in the first half of February. I did slow down my reading a little bit at the end of the month. I only have 10 books to talk about. That's how many books I read in the last half of February. I went on a trip to Disney. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen all the things that I've been posting, but I think to have 24 books read for the whole month of February, that's pretty good. So like I said, I read a total of 10 books in the last half of February. One of those was a physical book, 6 were ebooks, and 3 were audio. For a breakdown of genre, I had 7 contemporary romances, 2 fantasy romances, and 1 novella. Breakdown of star rating, I had 2 5-star reads, 1 4.5 star, 2 4 stars. 1 3.5 star, 2 3 stars, 1 2 star, and 1 that I did not rate, and I will get into that. For the total, like I said, 24 books read in February, breakdown of genre, it was 19 contemporary romances, 3 fantasy romances, and 2 novellas, so pretty simple. Breakdown of star rating, I had 3 5-star reads, 3 4.5 star reads, 8 4-star reads, 4 3.5 stars, 4 3 stars, 1 2 star, 1 no rating. And that's not like a DNF or anything. Then I have a breakdown. I had 4 physical books, 12 ebooks, and 8 audio books out of the 24. That's that breakdown. Now, the total number of pages I read was 9,542. So that's about 2,000 pages off from January, but makes sense because I didn't read as many books, but I am happy with the books that I read. And with all that being said, let's just dive into the books because like I said, I have 10 to talk about. So hopefully this wrap up is not going to be too long. The first one that I read, Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. So I think I mentioned in my mid-month wrap-up that I was currently reading this book. I think I started it on the 13th or 14th, and I finished it right before I left for Disney on the 16th, and this is, I don't know how else to describe Chloe Walsh's writing other than emotional and all-consuming. I guess that's the right word. She has a way with words, and she knows how to tell a story. This book follows Joey and Aoife, and we see Joey from Binding 13 and Keeping 13. So that is, Joey is Shannon's older brother, so we see him quite a bit. Now, I didn't know what to expect going into this book. There is a second book coming out in March, which I already have on my March TBR, that I do hope to read because I'm really excited for that one. And this one kind of ends on a cliffhanger. I mean, like, this kind of takes place before Binding 13. The ending kind of takes place at the beginning of Binding 13, but there's not too much overlap. You really get to see Joey and Aoife from a very young age. I think it's like 12 or 13 up until they're 17, 18. So you really get to see the whole childhood friends to lovers thing, but they kind of have this enemies thing. And Aoife just doesn't leave Joey alone. She knows that she is supposed to be with him and she's supposed to be there for him, and she finds out some things, and they just have this beautiful story. There's a lot of triggers for this book, which I knew going in because I knew what Joey was thinking in some of the parts in Binding and Keeping 13, but it's still hard to read when you have such a favorite character that is literally at the lowest of the low, and there's nothing he can do to get out of it, and he has all this pressure, all these things on his shoulders that he's trying to take care of, and it's hard to read. So definitely check your triggers. But Joey and Aoife's story is beautiful so far, and I cannot wait to read their next book, which I think is the last book. I think it's Redeeming Six, so I just can't wait. This was a 5-star read. I love it. I'm obsessed with Chloe Walsh, especially this series. The next book I read was Sing You Home by Ava Hunter. So I am doing this Nashville Star read along with my friend Jess at Peace Love Books. We already had the live show for the first 2 books. Our second live show is going to be on March 14th on my channel for the last 2 books in the series. But I started this while I was actually in line at Disney, and I was really, really intrigued. Like, I got through 25% in just one day standing in lines and stuff like that, which, to be hanging out with friends but still want to keep reading, it was a lot. I'm actually pretty proud of myself I got through that much, but I finished this on the drive home. I had my Alexa app read to me, and I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. This is a great introduction to a small town, to this whole rock star band kind of series. In this book, we follow Luke and Sal, and we see at the beginning of the book that Luke has lost his wife. Well, lost his wife as in like in a plane crash, and they never recovered her body, so it's almost to the year that she went missing, I think, or about 9 months. And they find her. She doesn't have a memory. She has amnesia, so she's living with this guy who says that she was that he was her husband, but he borderline just like wants to keep her. Basically, he kidnapped her when he saw the plane crash, which is why they never found her body. So she's trying to get her memory back, but also she's like, I'm supposed to be in love with Luke. He was my husband, my soulmate, all of these things, and like, what is happening? So I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was pretty solid. The writing, you know, it's her first book, first series. There's things that she can improve on, but I did go ahead and pick up the second book, which is Find You Again by Ava Hunter. This is a second chance forced proximity. I was kind of shocked by the character choice of these two books. So this book is the only one that doesn't follow someone from the original like band. Luke is like the singer of the band, and this follows Alabama, which Alabama had a little, what is it called? Like a scandal with Luke. She kissed him to try and get like tabloids going and, you know, get her name in there, and it didn't work out, and she really regrets that. So now she's back in her hometown and she's kind of like starting over. She doesn't have a contract with the label or anything like that. So when Griff comes back into town to find her, to take her on tour, she's like, oh hell no, I'm not gonna do it. Now, I gave this 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite. There was things that needed to be worked on, but I thought it was solid. Like, they had good plot points. They had good characters. You know, I liked the characters. I like that she writes strong female characters and not, like, limp noodle characters. I do like the main male characters. I just felt like there was, like, a little bit something missing. So, 3.5 stars. I am excited to continue, but you can join us if you want to read the last 2 books. You can read them out of order, but I'm excited for the last 2 books. The one book that I did not rate was Beneath the Mask by Megan March. So, I picked this up on Mardi Gras, which was February 22nd, and I wanted something that took place in New Orleans, and when I was just searching Goodreads, this came up. I did not know until I was literally like, I had an hour left of the audiobook. I was like, why does this author sound familiar? I have read this book before, apparently. I didn't remember. That Megan March, when COVID started, she basically said a bunch of things, how COVID was a hoax and stuff like that. And I personally don't want to support an author that says those things, you know, just puts misinformation out there. So yeah, I didn't know that. I wasn't in the book community when that all happened, but one of my friends told me. So I don't want to support an author that like blatantly spreads misinformation like that. So yeah, I read it. I'm counting it. I'm counting those pages. I'm just not going to rate it and support her on Goodreads or really talk about it. So that all being said, I did a vlog for Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. I'll link my vlog in the cards and in the comments down below. I was severely disappointed with this book. I go into a lot of my thoughts in that vlog, so I'm not going to spend too much time, but I rated it 2 stars. It was a mess of a book. I do not understand the hype. I do not understand why this book needs to be 600 plus pages. I do not understand why Lucy Score is touted as such an amazing author, because I read these 2 books in this Knock 'Em Out series or whatever the hell it's called, and I did not enjoy them. This one was a severe disappointment for me. So go check out my vlog. That was a fun one, and I kind of rant a little bit, just a little bit. The next book I read was The Right Move by Liz Ford, and I gave this 4.5 stars. This is a contemporary romance, roommate, fake dating, forced proximity. So we meet Ryan and Indy in Mile High. You do not have to read Mile High to read The Right Move, and my friend Caitlin definitely told me that I would like The Right Move more. I had problems with the male character in the first book, just because he was like, I'm all about therapy, but then when push came to shove, he just like, I don't know anything about therapy. Like, he just didn't think of anything, and I just, that annoyed me. I didn't like that part of it, considering like I've been in therapy and that shit is hard, and yeah, I just wouldn't tout it like, yeah, I've been in therapy this long. I don't know, just rubbed me the wrong way. That was a personal thing though, and I did rate that 4.5 stars as well. I think this one's a true 4.5 star read, and Mile High's a true 4 star. So I'm gonna go back and change my rating, but anyway, I thought it was a really good romance. Ryan Shea, he is genuine in the things that he does. And while they both have a lot of past issues and things to work on, we got to see those things, but it wasn't like developed as in like character growth. We could see that they acknowledged those things, but we didn't get to see them like moving past it, if that made sense. Like the book kind of ends with them acknowledging that they both have past traumas and past issues, and that may come up in their relationship, but we can move forward together. And we didn't really see that move forwardness. So the character development wasn't really there, but I think that Ryan Shea and Indy have a beautiful romance, and I love the way that they complement each other, and I really enjoyed this one. And then I moved on to another new release, which was Hail Mary by Candy Steiner, and I gave this book 4 stars. So this is the completed series. I don't know what the hell the name is. She doesn't put it on the books, but something Rivals, Runaway, I don't know. Anyway, Blindside's still my favorite. I love that one. I think I gave Quarterback Sneak and Hail Mary both 4 stars. My least favorite is Fair Catch. I just didn't like the third act breakup and some other things with that one. This one, I'm gonna tell you right now, the third act breakup was stupid. It was this whole miscommunication thing. And I didn't like it because the whole thing is she goes to her, like the thing, it was great. It was like a 4.5 star read the whole time until we got to this third act breakup. And I was just like, girl, are you kidding me? She goes home to live with her mom. Basically, it's a room. I didn't even tell you what it's about. It's a roommate romance. She moves into the pit. What is it called? The pit, I think it's called. Anyway, that's where all the football players live or other people on the football team live, because her house has mold and the home owner has to like do all these things because she's renting. So she lives in an extra room that they have for the summer, and that's when she gets to know Leo. This is kind of a second chance. I did like it that they met playing video games and he really didn't know who she was, and then she goes up to him at school because she knew who he was, he didn't know who she was, and gives him a drawing. And this part that kind of didn't really make sense because he was like, no, and his friends start making fun of her because she looks like a 15-year-old, with acne and stuff like that. Like, we all don't look that great at 15. Like, I could show you pictures of what I looked at, like, at 15, and I looked like a hot mess, too. And I was just like, what? Because apparently he didn't even remember that. So now that she's older and she's, confident in her body and confident being a curvy girl and confident in who she is and what she's doing, what she looks like, he's like, yeah, I want you. So that pissed her off. And I was like, but how do you not remember that? And he swores he doesn't. The whole third act breakup, she goes home to live with her mom and her dad. Her mom, who she's had a problem with the whole entire book. Like, she doesn't like her mom because she's not living up to her expectation of like a debutante. It was hella confusing. I mean, part of me wants to lower my rating a little bit more. Probably it's more like a 3.5 now than like a true 4-star read, because I was like, your mom had to tell you all of these things, but yet you said you didn't really like your mom the whole time. Like, your mom, the one person you did not like. Like, I get that it was, to bring them to, I don't know. It was just a weird choice for Candy to use that third act breakup and all that, but 4 stars there. The next book I read was a fantasy romance, and that was The Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. So I actually was sent this by the author, which thank you so much if you're watching for saying this to me. I have seen this going around. I've been really interested since it came out in December, and I gave this 3.5 stars. So I've read a lot of fantasy romances, and sometimes it's hard for me to be caught off guard now. So while this is her first book, her first fantasy romance, some of the things were predictable in a fantasy romance, especially if you've read a lot of fantasy romances, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I could see where the author was going. The beginning drew me in, and the ending was really, really good. The middle, probably 150 pages of this book, it really lost me a little bit. I felt like it was easy to check in and out of the story. You weren't really missing anything. It was the whole thing with some fantasy romances where you have a female character that doesn't know how to fight or doesn't know how to take care of herself. She's fighting and learning how to use a sword and doing her day-to-day things while she's in this kingdom as a captor. You know what I mean? So it's I didn't really care to see all that, but that's how every fantasy romance is. There's always that montage of them days and months going by of them fighting and learning how to fight and learning how to take care of themselves and all that stuff like that. So, it was okay. It was average. It's not the best thing I've read, but it's not the worst fantasy romance. So I would pick this up. I feel like if you're newer to fantasy romance, there wasn't a lot of info dumpy. It was very easy to understand the kingdoms and what was going on and the politics of everything. So I will give it that. So 3.5 stars for this one. I did read another fantasy romance, which is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by JLA. This was a reread. I'm doing a live show on March 4th. At 2 p.m. on my channel, we're doing a read-along where we read one of the From Blood and Ash series books every month. And this month, it happens to be on my channel, and that's Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. This, like I said, is a reread. 5 stars. Love, Poppy, and Kaz. The end for that one. And the last book I read was a novella. I was trying to make it to 25 books, but didn't make it to 25. I made it to 24. But I read this novella, and it's called Divine River by Marina Vivancos. I think that's how you say her name. I got this as a recommendation from Samantha from Books with Samantha, and I was genuinely surprised. I did not know what to expect. I didn't know anything about this book when I picked it up, and I gave it 4 stars. This is 138 pages of really deep. So it's an MM romance, but you have one of the characters, Jason, he moves in next door to Mike. And Mike is very closed off and stuff like that. And I thought this was more of a darker romance because the way that the beginning started, considering I didn't know anything about it, But basically, he has not come out that he is gay to anyone, to his friends. The only person that he's told is his sister. But he likes to dress up in pretty clothes. And there were so many quotes where it just felt like, you just felt for this character that what they're going through, especially with their dad. And that's why I gave it 4 stars, because I felt the whole thing with his dad, because he's close. He's not close with his dad, but he never told his dad that his dad is not for people who are other than heterosexual, if that makes sense. And I don't know, I just felt that I wanted a little bit more. Like, I wish this was like a 200-page book and that we got to work that out. But I loved the romance. I loved how it was a kind of like a breath of fresh air, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the author's writing, so I'm really interested to see what else this author has. But this was a good, like, contemporary very much coming out, not coming of age, but like being confident and being okay with who you are and accepting who you are, and being okay with everyone else around you accepting that too. And I just thought it was really, really, really beautiful. But like I said, I just wanted a little bit more with the dad to work out, because that was a big part of why he kept it hidden for so long. So yeah, that is the 10 books that I read in the last half of February. You can let me know your favorite read of February down in the comments down below. I'm gonna get my nails done soon, so drop me the nail emoji, like the painting the nails emoji. That's all I have for this wrap-up video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content from me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.